Now in our next step, we're going to treat the curbs. So the first thing we're going to do is tie the curbs into the return walls. And what we're going to use on that are these boots. They also come in the drain box. This baggie that we've been into a few times here in this shower, you get a couple of these corners here. And one thing about these corners, they've been in the box for quite a while. So what we do here, just on this flat spot, we're going to fold it backwards. You just take a little bit of that memory out. And then what you do is you get it to lay a little flatter right here. Now, Brian, I see you've gone ahead and spread the thin set over the top, and you're putting that on there. Does that have to be put on now, or can we wrap the curb first, or again, is this back to the preference thing?
Yeah, it's just a matter of preference. I just find it's really neat to place it over at this junction right here now.
Okay, but it could go over the top of the Kerdi that we are going to wrap on the curb.
Yeah,
also. You can see by putting this boot on here, we're going to treat that spot that's always been a bit of a trouble in shower stalls. And by putting this in here, we virtually eliminate that potential for a leak or the trouble that we would have back here. You can see the way Bryant did that. He used a two-trowel technique like we did on the inside corners. He used one trowel to hold the piece tight into the corner, and then the other trowel so he could put a little pressure on that one piece and firmly embed the Kerdi into the thin set, and that held that piece nice and firm and tight into the corner. We have one more place to treat on this Kerdi shower before we actually wrap the curbs with Kerdi, and that's this inside corner where we have the intersection of two curbs. So you can see over here we've used this boot, the same boot we've used over here against the wall, we're going to use at this inside corner.
Now when we used it as a boot against the wall, we were using the 4 1/4 inches of length here, but now we're going to run it this way, which is only 2 1/2 inches, so we're not achieving our 2-inch overlap. So I've cut another piece of the Kerdi band, 5-inch Kerdi band. We'll fold it, get it in the corner, and now we'll put this boot right over that. Now we've got the good 2-inch overlap. So it's all sealed up.
So we've got that covered now. Now you're going to put that on now, Bryant, just like we put the boots on over at the wall to curb connections. Could we wait and put these two pieces on after we actually treat the whole curb with some Kerdi?
Yeah, it's really a preference thing. So, you know, you could do it after the Kerdi's put on. We're just going to do it this way. I just find it's a little bit easier to manage these pieces before we put the large piece over it.
Okay. So now we've addressed that little spot there, just like we did on the inside vertical corner earlier in the shower with a very short little piece of Kerdi. Now we're going to make certain that we have a minimum of 2-inch overlap here. Now we want to treat our curbs with our Kerdi membrane. So we have a couple of pieces on here. You can see down here on the floor that we have a piece of the Kerdi cut to size. You might wonder how we arrived at this size, we just measured the dimensions of the face and the top inside, came up with our width, and as far as the length, what you do is you go across the face, come around the corner, and we know that we want to be at 2-inch minimum overlap onto our adjacent piece, so that's how we arrived at the length. There was another reason why we laid this on here dry besides, Bryant.
Yeah, this is really to allow us to line up to the curb. We pull it back off and we can crease this, so when we bring it back we know exactly where to lay it back onto the curb, and it's going to fit nice and tight and give us nice installation of the Kerdi.
All right, so we've got the curb all spread with thinset. Now you can see with those creases in there, we knew exactly where to place that curb. Gave it a little memory. It's in place. It's covered up part of the boot down there at the return wall. It's covered up quite a bit of the boot down here that we had, but that's fine. We know it's under there and treating those corners. And you'll notice what Bryant's doing. He's doing the top first, making sure it's firmly embedded into the thinset, getting all the air bubbles and blisters out. And now, for doing the inside face or the outside face, we'll use the same technique. He's using the trowel and he's sort of pushing down on the Kerdi a little bit, getting all the air out, any excess thinset that may be in there. And that's just going to ensure that we're going to get that nice, clean outside corner there on that curb. Okay, so we're ready to put our last piece of Kerdi on here now. So you can see that Bryant's spread the thinset on the curb, coated the top, the inside, and the outside faces. And just like on the other curb, we lay it on there. The creases help us to orient the Kerdi right in place. Same technique as before. We prefer to do the top first. That gets that firmly embedded in the thinset. And that same technique we showed you on this other curb. Smooth it out, firmly embed the Kerdi into the thinset. Any residual thinset, any air bubbles are taken out of there, and we've got a nice tight corner here, don't we? That looks good. Now I'm going to do a couple of cuts for you here, Bryant. The first cut we want to do is right along here. So we're going to cut right along this curb and come right back in to that crease like so. Now that will enable us to fold that piece down and do the inside face. Now another cut that we're going to make here is we've already got the crease right here, so we're going to just cut right along that crease, again, all the way up till we hit that curb. That's going to lay in there. This piece will lay over the top.
A little long, Andy.
Yeah, we'll cut that off after you get that piece laid up there. Well, actually, let me mark it right now, Bryant. I'll just lay it in here dry, and I'll kind of put a little crease in it so I can follow it with the scissors. And now I'll get it out of the way. I'll just follow that crease right along here. Now it's going to lay all the way flat, but let's put that other one on first. Now there we are. We've got our 2-inch overlap. You can see where the piece ended on the face. You can see it extends to here. Same process as before. Okay. Now a couple more places to spread thinset. Of course, we want thinset in between all the layers of Kerdi, so we're going to respread on this face here. And we still have a little dry spot right here, Brian, on the top. This is a pretty simple way to address an outside corner with the least amount of buildup of additional layers of Kerdi. So it's nice and smooth and ready to go, ready for tile now.